My name is Guy Bragg. I sang with the Sonnets, and we recorded in late 50s or mid 50s.
So starting off, I guess a little bit about you. Growing up, was there a lot of music in your life, and do you hear it on the radio, or were your relatives musical?
The music we heard early on was more or less what people call now the Great American Songbook of songs that were uh, written and recorded from Broadway plays and things like that. So you had either some singers, Frank Sinatra, etc., were singing those types of songs. That was the music you would hear normally on the radio, and at some point on TV they had a show called Your Hit Parade. They would have that like every Friday or something and have all the hit songs there. And maybe some of the recorded music would be from big bands and things like that. But in terms of singing groups, when I was very young, which was many, many moons ago, you didn't have too much of that. And so it wasn't until the mid 50s that you start hearing the genre of rhythm and blues, which we call now, I don't even think we called it then, but what we call now, the Doo-Wop groups. And they were everywhere, and they were mostly, as far as I can recall, on the East Coast. And there were people who were quite familiar with these groups, and they had every record that was put out by these groups. So when you were a young kid and you went to a party, a social party, that's how you became familiar with that genre. And from there, obviously, that's where a lot of the groups emanated from, that exposure and social parties and things like that. And that's basically how one aspect of how we uh, got started. Now, that's in reference to the question you asked, but in terms of, I don't know if you want to know how we got started,
Yeah, that was the next question I was going to lead into. Yeah, how you guys formed?
right? It just so happened that we went to the same high school. We were not a group that was put together. We went to the same high school, and we had a lot of the same interests. We liked sports and things like that. We played basketball and whatever. And we had one of the members who eventually became our lead singer, Maxwell Chapman, was familiar with a lot of the popular songs, not genre songs, not the rhythm and blues. And so he would always be humming. He had a nice voice. He would always be humming these songs from Broadway. He had this song he was singing all the time called Jeepers Creepers, and he would be saying, Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those eyes? And he would be singing a lot of songs like that. My Funny Valentine, those types of things. And every now and then there's a special jazz song he would sing, the improvisational approach to jazz, to a song called, there really was a popular song called I Only Have Eyes for You, I Only Have Eyes for You. But he knew how to sing the jazz version of it. I forget the gentleman sang it. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. Pretty baby, you are the smile that snaps my control. And so he knew all that. But anyway, when we were started going to these parties, well, when the event of the Doo-Wops came, we would get bitten by the songs. And it just so happened that, as I said before, Maxwell he had a nice voice, and he could sing these songs as we would reproduce what we heard. It just so happened, but for some reason, all of us were sort of harmonic. And whereas he was the lead singer, we could fall in with the harmony aspect. In fact, I think I was probably, would say, the person who arranged a lot of the harmony, you know. And but it was not for the intent of singing professionally. It was just guys getting together, having a nice time, you know, and whatever, and trying to impress, you know, the people at the parties or whatever. And being that we also hung out together in like the local YMCA, it was a black YMCA here, and we would go down there, we'd go swimming and play basketball. Well, one of the things we always look forward to was once we finished that session and you cleaned up, we would all go into one of the stairwells, because the building also housed apartments for people to live in. So you had maybe about 3 levels, and so we go into stairwells where we get these echoes, which made it appear that when you sang, you were just something else, you know. And so we started developing a few songs, and then, as I said, we would go to different places, and not professional places, but over parties, and people would beg us to sing and so forth. So anyway, there was a gentleman. Well, it was 4 of us. My Maxwell Chapman, myself, Guy Bragg, Gordon Coger, and Billy Nixon. Those 3, well, Billy Nixon, Gordon Coger, and Maxwell Chapman are deceased. Of the original guys that got together, you know, that was it. There's another young man who didn't go to our school, but he happened to be the son of the daughter of Cab Calloway. So it was a musical, you know, connection there. And he always wanted to find a way to join our group. He was not necessarily one of the more harmonic guys that we were used to, but we allowed him to be in it because we weren't a professional group. And as a result of that, he got better, and he grew that his mother became the manager as the daughter of Cab Calloway, and some kind of way she was the person who got us connected with people in New York to record. I think the songwriters and the writers of songs we did, they're called Goodman and Buchanan. Okay. In fact, they did a little compilation record also where they have a whole lot of different songs by different groups on there. So anyway, I'm trying to recall. But anyway, so we start. I don't know what the purpose was, why we were doing it initially when we got together, practicing a lot and singing. But eventually she had made this contact to have us record in New York, you know. So we found out that we could record in New York, and we were like 15, 16 years old. And found out that we were going to record in Capitol Studios in New York. I forget the exact street, somewhere in 40th or 50th Street. And we were going to record these songs in Capitol Studio. And found out that the studio was actually the same studio that Frankie Lyman had made his big hit, Why the Fool Fall in Love. And we were just blown away with the opportunity to do that, you know. And not only the fact of being like 15, 16, but going to New York City, staying in a hotel, you know, and things like that. So that was a aspect that we were just so thrilled to death. The only thing disappointing part of it, and I shouldn't say disappointing because of the big opportunity a lot of guys would have loved to have done, was as a result of being in Baltimore and playing around and having people that asked us to sing at parties and whatever. We had recorded not recorded, we had developed our own songs. We had our own songs. And the deal with going to New York and singing these songs, we had to sing the songs that Buchanan and Goodman or whoever they got them together had to sing it. So there was a little reluctance to sing them at first because we weren't particularly blown away with them, because we thought we had some songs that were really better, anyway.
What,
And
do you remember the songs, that, like the titles of them?
oh yeah, the songs were Why Should We Break Up and Please Won't You Call Me. Now at this point, I can't say either one was the A-side, but I think it was normally pushed, Why Should We Break Up? Okay, I mean, they were nice songs, but they didn't sing like songs that we really wanted to sing, But, you had to do what the establishment said. We will record you, but you had to record our song. Well, being young, of course, I know the other young man's mother knew the business. But us being young, we didn't realize that you don't make any money singing the song. It's the writer of the song. And that's why we couldn't sing our songs. So the situation was, we can record you, but you have to sing these songs. So anyway.
So those songs that you wanted to sing, what do you remember the titles of those songs?
Oh, well, no, because they weren't, they weren't published. They weren't, they weren't copyrighted or anything like that. So they weren't any songs that people would recognize. In fact, I don't even remember the names they have. I wrote some of them, But like I said before, we weren't allowed to sing those songs, But anyway, so as I said, we sang the songs, and it was on Herald Records, which is a very popular label at that time. It was even more, exhilarating. So we were on Herald Record with. I had a couple of groups on there, the Turbans, and that was the Turbans, and the Nutmeg, right, the Nutmeg. And they had a singer, I think Faye Adams or something like that, a few other people. So anyway, we thought we were big time, we were celebrity, Now the other aspect of that business was expected, you go on the road and sing. Well, our group basically was composed of young men who came from families who had gone to college. Okay, and the parents' position at that time, well, that's fine. You all can do all that singing and so forth, but you're going to college. You're going to get an education. So there was a restriction in terms of us doing what one guy was saying, getting this van, which was popular at the time, the van with your name on it, and drive them all around to the Chitlin circuits, and had all the stage shows at these the popular theaters at the time in Chicago and Philly, Baltimore, and Washington, the Howard Theater, the Royal Theater here. But our parents weren't enthused about us going that route. So we were not a traveling group that was known nationwide. So I have no idea I didn't make any money, let me put it that way. There was no money involved. I don't know if any money was made from the recordings, how much was made, where it went, what portion went wherever. And I would get a few comments every now from people who knew us, and years after that, In fact, one guy said, "Man, they playing your music to death over in Europe." And we had no way of knowing who, what, how to contact. Okay, but just the fact that there's a possibility that we have, sold a few records or made some money off the sale of the records. And of course, we know at first, initially, what comes off the top is to the writers, and go from there. But we have no idea. We were just unaware of the business. Okay, but it's just those types of comments who made you wonder. What did those songs do? And I never knew. I still don't know. I mean, I may have a couple of beat up copies here, which I probably can't even put my hands on if they're not chipped up. So anyway, that is essentially what the Sonnets were. I mean, we had a great time. We enjoyed the recognition and so forth. We could go to places and people would beg us to sing. And we did do a few local things here, like record hops and things like that. But in terms of making a lot of money on personal appearances, that we weren't into that. And in fact, sometimes we will see some of the groups come through. I think they had a concert here one time where I think the Turbans were, and we were kind of wishing that we could have been on the show also. But like I said, we had to deal with our parents. Our parents said, no, you're not going that way. You're going into college. And couple, I think 3 of us started college, Maxwell and Gordon, but I think they dropped out after a while. But I finished, and from there, I went out to Morgan State College. It's a university now. And from there, I went to dental school after I went into the Army. Went to the Army in 1961, got out in 63, went to dental school 64, and so here I am now. So that is basically the story of my involvement with the Sonnets. It was a great period of time, and I kind of felt that, especially during that day, you weren't as fortunate. I don't want to get into a racial thing, but it is what it is. During that time period, you weren't going to be pushed like some of the other groups, the white groups, So that didn't happen for us, and whatever happened, I don't know what happened because I haven't seen a penny to this day. Okay, but I'm fortunate to have gone through that period, and when I mention it to people nowadays, they don't really know what the Doo-Wops were, or whatever, But that was almost the beginning of a lot of the type of music nowadays, And also that, as I said before, I had a ear for music, range of music, and harmony and things like that, and I kind of got bitten by the jazz bug, and as a preference. Not a put down, but as a preference, I appreciated the intricacies and the difference in playing jazz as opposed to doing doo-wops. It's an entirely different situation. And some people, when you mention doo-wops and so forth, they try to equate the two. I said, no, it's not the same, But anyway, so I guess that's. I don't know if there's anything else you need to know from me, but
so you were on the Herald record, right?
we were on Herald. The second one, the Herald record was when we made Why Should We Break Up and Please Won't You Call Me. The second one was on a label called Lane, Lane, and I think the songs were Oh Judy. And I can't think of the second song.
Angel of My Dreams.
There you go, right. Angel of, you know all of it, huh? And Angel of My Dreams. And Maxwell was not on that. I don't know what happened. why he was not on that record. I don't know why he left the group or anyway, but he wasn't on there. And so the lead singer was Gordon Coger, who turns out to have a real nice voice also, you know. And but from there, you know, the group sort of lost contact, you know. And so I had no idea what that.
Yeah. How did you make that record? I guess getting away from Herald, and you guys had like that 2 year hiatus, and then you guys decided to make that
Well,
record.
here again, like I say, we were not into the business aspect. Some of us were not in the business aspect of it. Now, I think all that was arranged through the fifth guy that joined us later on, Michael Monroe, and his mother. What was her first? Her last name was Monroe. She was married to a biology professor out in Morgan. But I said she was the daughter of Cab Calloway. And I think she had that music connection in New York. So she made those connections with Lane, you know. Yeah. As far as all that aspect happened, that you would have to talk with them. But Mrs. Monroe has passed also. So a lot of that is I don't know. I can't tell you what happened. So anyway.
So you guys all join. You guys either all go to college or do some type of college, and then you guys just kind of fizzle out.
I went to college and completed. They. I don't know why Gordon. I don't know if Gordon eventually started caught up later on in life, but during that time period, he didn't complete college. There, I think he became a bookkeeper or an accountant somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know his history. I don't really. I think Michael. I think Michael started teaching at Cornell University, from what I heard. But you know, we just lost contact. And of course, Billy Nixon died at a very young age. I think he ended up driving a cab in Pittsburgh, and we heard that he had died of a heart attack. And he was not that old. Maxwell, he started working around town in the housing authority, and but we kind of just, you know, when your interests or whatever you were dealing with took you in different directions, you kind of split up. And of course, you weren't young kids anymore. And I think my nose is running here. Anyway, so just age. And then I think also the Doo-Wop period didn't last that long. Okay, you had similar music. I don't want to say rock and roll. I forget how to classify, but you had other type of music like the Stevie Wonder coming through and things like that.
The soul era.
Yeah, so things like that. So that's why I say today probably a lot of people, even older people, may not have been familiar with the doo-wop. They could pick up Stevie Wonder and maybe Ray Charles and up from there. And I think one group that kind of lasted a while was the Temptations. And of course now you have a lot of groups that are not the Temptations, but are the Temptations, you know. But a lot of the other groups that were around at that time, I don't think they lasted very long, other than the copy groups, you know. But you had the Cadillacs and the Moonglows and all the groups I'm quite sure you're aware of. They had some very good groups, and I think a lot of them, well, I don't know, but I think a lot of them were able to use their own creativity and with their song, make their own songs. And that was the one aspect that we were kind of disappointed that we couldn't sing our songs, because we thought we had a good sounding group and a good lead singer and things like that. But you know, after a while you realize, as you get older, you realize it's a business. It's money, and so you get your money from writing the songs, you know, just like in popular music also. Yeah. That's why it's important for the record company. So if they're gonna give you X amount of dollars, you have to get on the road.
Tour and make money.
Yeah, and also to promote what kind of advances they gave you. But those advances were compensated with what they had, what you made on the road, you know, and some went back to the record company, you know. Well, we didn't do any traveling, you know, so we didn't have that type of career. You know, we just had the experience of making records, playing, you know, hearing them on the radio every now and then. We come back to town, or first heard they go play it here. We say, wow, they're playing our song. But that was the extent of us, you know. I think the second record we made, the Lane record, we did add, well, we didn't. I think the Mrs. Monroe contingent, some kind of way added a couple of other singers, and I don't really remember the names of the other singers, so.
Well, they weren't part of that main group.
No, the main group was those four. And then the fifth with Michael coming along. And the main group is, like I said, it's because we grew up together, we played ball together, you know what I'm saying, we went to parties together, you know, and things like that. And we were actually, you know, we were just friends, you know, and you know, we hang out, fool around, act crazy and stuff like that. You know, we were good guys. And we were all, eventually there was I'm not going to say a social group, it was a group that was developed for black kids to be involved with a different type of life, I guess, because Jack and Jill. I don't know if you've heard anything about it or something you might in your research. Jack and Jill America is basically to add a cultural aspect of life to these kids. And it was a fortune. Every kid couldn't be a part of it. You know, you had to be voted in, and the parents had to be voted in, who had the kids, et cetera, you know. So two of the guys were already in it. No, three of them. Gordon, Koger, Maxwell Chapman, and of course Michael Monroe. And the idea was, well, to help promote us, it would be nice if all of them could be in it. So then they found a way to get myself and Billy Nixon in it, so that the whole group could say we were part of the Jack and Jill. So now this organization, which is nationwide, might even be worldwide, Jack and Jill of America, say we have some members who are a singing group, you know, that type of thing. Yeah. Anyway, but it was a good experience, you know. So that's I don't know if I can think of any other tidbits that may interest you, unless you have something.
I guess two questions quickly. How did you get your name, the Sonnets? Was that you guys, or was that the record company?
No, I made it. I gave the name.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out our name, and all the names people were talking about, we said, oh, that don't sound right. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's a matter of being in English class one day, and they were talking about sonnets and things like that. They said, it's a nice sounding name, you know. And I said, well. So I suggested the Sonnets. Yeah. So I'll take credit for that. Yeah.
And,
right.
I guess singing and, you know, as like parties and everything like that, were there rival groups that you guys would sing against, or was there any other groups that you remember?
We didn't have any contests.
Yeah. I mean, like just like for fun, like fun battles.
No, in fact, I think more than anything it was jealousy. you know, because you might have other groups that say, "Oh, we sound better than them," and we were never put in a situation where you would be competing against someone, or whatever. And I guess in a way, in a way, there was that jealousy because everyone wanted to do it. Everyone, they would say, "You guys recorded a record," et cetera, et cetera, So, but no, it was not any of that because we were never put in the same type of situation where groups get together and go to what people might go to sometimes. So no, we didn't have that. In fact, quite frankly, we could have. I think I'm trying to reflect. Have appeared. Didn't one of the big nuggets was appearing when these big these theaters it was popular at the time where black artists performed in. And I think we had the possibility or a shot of singing at the Royal Theater on one of their stage shows, with all the popular groups at the time, when they had their stage shows, they'd have about 6 or 7 different performers, and I don't know how I peed it out, but I don't think we were too disappointed because you had young teenagers almost growing up in the same cycles and in different, not only different cycle, but different financial situation, cultural situation, whatever. And so sometimes you weren't at risk, but you didn't know if the people who were attending these shows who were people amongst who you grew up with and their jealousy or whatever, could make it quite unpleasant for you singing, I mean, so old statement, old statement about familiarity breeds contempt. So if people grow up with you and they're jealous of you, they don't necessarily support you. So we didn't think appearing at the Royal would be a good idea because too many people in there we knew it. Like I said, we went to school together, we played ball together, and those types of things. So anyway, as I said, the situation was basically it was a great experience. The music was wonderful. I recall when we first went into the studio to make our first song. Now really young kids from Baltimore. Our only experience with music is singing a cappella. And when you walked into that studio in New York, in Capitol Studios, and they had their house band there ready to play behind your band, and we had never heard anyone play behind our band, we just sing. Yeah. And when that band started off, I mean, we were spellbound. I was spellbound, because I always had this feeling for music. That I guess that's how I germinated to playing jazz too. And when that band, I don't know how many, they must have had about 8 pieces sitting up there. And that band went off and we were playing. It was almost like you almost forgot to sing, just to sing when you were looking at the band, And so that type of experience, I never will forget. I frequently think about it, but going in that studio, hearing that band jump off,
How long were you in the studio for, like doing those 2 songs?
It was almost like we were in there too long. We weren't in it very long, I don't think, but it was like sometimes after doing different takes, like we had a problem one time with the lead singer. We just couldn't get a part, and you could tell that the quality, he wasn't getting what they were trying to get to. And the more they tried to get him to get to it, he got further and further away, And but uh, I don't know. We were probably in at least. I don't recall. I can't say how long we were in there, but I know. And I'm just off the top of my head. It had to be at least a couple of hours or so forth. Yeah, it probably wasn't even that long because I know they got to pay for studio time, you know. But it appeared that that's about how long it was. It was, I think, and I'm not saying it because looking back on it, I was disappointed in the, I'm not going to say lack of support of the parents, but having the vision that that's not life sustaining. You all are not going to do that, you know. If at that point in time they weren't against traveling and doing things like that, you know, could have probably been a whole different situation with us. But I only think it was recording a record, and that basically was it. We didn't do any traveling or anything like that, you know. And as I said, from there, I went on to get my education, and from there, after practicing dentistry about 35, 40 years, and I always loved the music, loved the jazz music. You know, Doo-Wop was not into play at that point in time in my life. But loving the jazz music and even practicing dentistry, which I loved, I also still love to hear the famous jazz icons of that period. That's another aspect that's faded out a lot. I mean, it's still around, but not the icons that used to be back there. That when I finished, when I retired from dentistry, you know, I was playing around somewhere and somebody said, oh, you ought to be playing professionally. Piano, yeah. And so I got together with a few other guys and from there I've been playing, still play jazz really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's about the
story of the Sonnets.
story of the Sonnets.
I guess before I totally forgot to ask, but what voice parts did you guys all sing?
Well, initially Maxwell Chapman was the lead singer, okay. Myself and Gordon Coger were tenors, first and second tenors, you know. And Billy Nixon was bass, okay. And when Michael joined the group, he eventually was able to become the bass, okay. And on the second record that we did, Gordon became the lead, Gordon Coger, and he had a very good voice, you know. And, you know, I miss those guys. We had a fun time, you know. We act stupid, like young kids would, you know. And when the lights went on, you got very professional, you know. But other than that, act like idiots, you know. But it was great. Appreciate it. And there are some people to this day that still recognize us recognize me as a member of the Sonnets, you know. Of course, I'm the only one living. Well, I'm not. I don't know where Michael is. Michael may still. That would have been one of my intentions to kind of look him up, Michael Monroe, and I heard he might be somewhere in this area. Both his parents are gone, and I don't think he's very close to the other relatives. So I've been trying to figure out how to get in touch with Michael. You know, so that's one of my objectives. But that's it for us. So other than that, I'm the only one left, you know. So.
Is there anything you want to say to people about the Sonnets?
Well,
the last final thing.
Well, as I was saying throughout, there was a fun-loving group of guys. You know, there was nothing negative about them. You know, they were good guys. We were raised in good families. we loved each other. We partied together. We played ball together. We did everything together. You know, and the parents, all your parents knew everyone. You know, and so it was no. I mean, everyone would have hassles, but we got along great and so forth. And in fact, sometimes I guess we were too simple. You know, but we didn't show that on the outside. We were supposed to be on singing or whatever. But no, we had a great time. You know, we had a great time. And like I say, I think about all those guys now. You know, I love the experience. You know, I have nothing negative to say about that experience. You know, so it's a stage of my life that developed into other stages and went on up. And every now and then I went to. There's a good friend of mine that I grew up with, a young lady, and I recall going to her house for something, and she said, "God, I want you to listen to something." And I said, "What's that?" And this is when the event of Siri and all these things came out. And she said, "Siri, play Why Should We Break Up?" And it just, I said, "Are you serious?" She said, I said, "They have that on there just like that?" So as soon as she said it, it came up. You know, that's another testament to the magnitude of electronics and that industry. You know, and so that was interesting. You know, and it feels good every now and then to listen to know that it's on there. In fact, one of the members of my jazz group, he didn't know that of my history. And when I told him, in fact, as I was telling me early on to my wife, he pulled up Google and he saw all the information on them, and he said, also there's looks like a picture of you guys, you know, but it's not very clear. And see, that's the other thing I'm disappointed. I don't know why. If it was, I think it was, but we're one of our glossies. I don't know why we didn't have a glossy of it, because I would have loved to have done. I would have loved to have one of these old time films of when we did a little popular, what do you call it, record hop. Yeah, called it Buddy Ning. We were the only black people in the studio, and we had about 200 teenagers, and we singing them. But anyway, and during that time they were using those tapes, you know,
Yes.
so they no longer exist. But I would have loved to have tapes and things like that, you know, what we did do, you know. So I'm going to see if I can follow up and find a good picture of our group at that point in time. I would love to have a picture of our group. In fact, in all your intense research, if you come across something like that. But the one you showed me was not us. But anyway, that's my memory. Say great bunch of guys. Everyone got along, you know. So no problem.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Well, I appreciate you having the desire to go back to that period and read some of the guys. And I know there's a wealth of information, there's a wealth of stories back there. There's a tremendous wealth of groups. I mean, so many groups that back there. Yeah, that's you know. I don't know when I hear, this is not a put down per se. When I hear some of the music today that's played, or things that's supposed to be characterized as music, and I go back to those groups, those Doo-Wop groups, those Doo-Wop groups are good. They were very good, you know. So,
Perfect. Well, thank you.
thank you.